With a better roster, six is a plate of lobster. Let them niggas hate, but revenge will never stop us. Kill the cancer, you can call me a sick assassin. Cut the chains, you can call me LeBron James. Make a decision, but you never had me in derision. Changing the vision, but mark them that cause division. For real, never in submission like I need permission. Niggas steady telling lies like a politician. Nigga need to cool it down, but we the new edition. Yes. Yeah, the name is the source. Check the reinvention. For real. You think we not prepared for the fallout? Watch us stack this information. Watch
Yo, we back, y'all. SUC in the building. Source Gang. What's going on, man? Shabbat shalom to all the brothers and the family and the sisters that's out there that's tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe to the Source Debate League on YouTube, and follow us on Facebook, Source Debate League on Facebook. Right now, we got a good one, man. I'm personally excited for this one because this brother has hyped this thing up. As long as I know him, this brother is a real intelligent, sharp brother. He's about organization. He's about code, structure, the things that the black community needs. And this brother is going to bring that information to y'all. You know what I'm saying? This brother, he's real big on nearly four. So if y'all familiar with his work, y'all should be, in tune with what this brother is going to be bringing forth today. With no further ado, I would like to introduce you, my brother, Christos. What's going on, brother? Talk to him.
What's going on? Yeah, this is the pilot show for the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept by Neely Fuller. It's a contemporary compensatory counter-racist code. First, I guess I cover the title. The title is pretty obvious. United Independent, because in order to be able to defeat this system, you're going to have to be united, but be able to work as an independent unit, within yourself. I don't think that a bunch of people grouping together is going to get, that works. But history has always shown that you can move better if you move independent, but in the same direction, It's United Independent Compensatory. It's compensatory because just like any other code, law, structure, it can be changed to meet, whatever trials and tribulations, whatever stumbling blocks come across this way, it can be changed and molded to fit the narrative of that day. And that's the way you want it. You want something that can change with the landscape, not something that's gonna, keep you in the same mode. If something's not working, you need to be able to change it and move forward to something else. Okay, so the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, like I say, we covered what, pretty much what code is. Code is like a law, a structure to things. A system is the way that something is worked out, the processes for working out something. And then concept, of course, concept is an idea. The idea has to be, it has to be realized or at least pushed toward in order for it to become a system, the new system. You know, if you trying to invoke a new system, there's going to be steps to get you there. And I think that first starts with the concept, the idea of the thing. Okay, so that's kind of a three step stage getting into it. Anyway, it's a compensatory counter racist code is what this is. The code for fighting racism. Because throughout the ages we've been trying to figure out how do we fight this system of racism, which in this book is defined as uh, white supremacy and racism are used synonymously. And when I say white supremacy, it shouldn't confuse that with white people necessarily, because it's a system. It's a construct, a system. It's something that's ongoing, collaborative. Usually, it's a system. So, do you have any thoughts on that so far, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to mute you while I'm talking so we don't have an echo.
Oh, okay.
So if you just mute out real quick. So yeah, man, I think it's very interesting. I'm already familiar with your stance on this. Um, I just want you to just break it down so that people can digest the information on the white supremacy part and how it's interchangeable. And I know you're going to do that, but I'm very interested to see you break it down and give it to our audience so they can know how big of a role white supremacy plays in our society and society today, and how that affects us directly. And hopefully we can touch on what can be done. You know what I mean, to circumvent that or get around and help our people kind of cross those hurdles and get around those challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis. All right, I'm you now.
Okay, so first, I think we get into like an introduction. The system of white supremacy, racism. That's kind of the most important. Well, not most important, but it's definitely the most powerful system on the planet. If we're talking about systems and how they work and how you maneuver these things will be determined by the counteraction that's put into that. It's kind of like, it, you thought you stop a thief by putting up a camera. There's a reaction for every action. you Cause and effect. So uh that is the most powerful force among all the people, of the known universe, that prevents production of justice, which is what we want on the planet. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's what most people want, is justice, which is the balance between people in all areas of activity, because you can't just have balance in one area, and not have balance in the other areas of activity. Some of the areas of activities are economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, and counter war. Kind of put war and counter war together because they kind of coincide. It depends. um, During the existence of white supremacy racism, I think the most important thing for non-white people, persons, is to study white supremacy, because it is a system, and if you don't study it, if you don't understand it, I think Neely Fuller said it best. If you don't understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything that you do understand will only confuse you, because these systems were set up so that they could run on autopilot. So in a way, they exist. A lot of them exist, and you don't know that they're there. They're running on autopilot. During the existence of racism, white supremacy, there is no way for a non-white person to be mentally healthy without understanding what white supremacy is and how it works. That's the basic, you know, you need to be able to understand something in order to get to a point where you can get rid of it. You got to understand it before you can get rid of it. So another thing is context. Okay, the words. A lot of what we do has to do with communication and words. You know, all like that. When using words, context is extremely important. We should always go with what the context is in the word usage because, you know, all throughout history, the words have been the thing that guide a people. I don't know if that's easy to understand. Like I'll take for instance the word America. If we take like the word America, now when I hear it, I'm hearing, something. America means one thing, but there was a time period where they took that one word and changed it into something else, the United States, which meant something completely different. One was a concept of unity and all these other things, but then the other was a concept of corporations and, you know, subjugation and stuff like that. So you have to understand the concept and behind the words that are used in order to get over those hurdles. So there's a second book that he came out with called The Word Guide. If you were ever gonna get it, it's called The Word Guide. The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept Word Guide, it's codified word guide. Okay, so let's get to it.
So one more time, so I can put it in the. I can put it on the screen. You said United what?
You said for what? For which one? The Word Guide or
We had a word guide. United compensatory counter
yeah,
racism word guide.
yeah. It's a long title. The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a compensatory counter racist codified word guide.
Concept. I want the people to be able to look and research this information on their own if they want to.
Okay.
Counter racism.
Yeah, they want to get the book. They could go to producejustice.com. Yeah, and when they go there, it'll pull up automatically. There's three books on the screen. I think it's the only thing on that screen. So
It's justice.com.
yeah, producejustice.com.
All right, go
That's
ahead, brother. You
the
got it.
easiest way. Uh, Basic perspective. The matter, sometimes referred to as race problems, is basic, unfinished business among people. Of the known universe, pretty much. Uh, so it's not possible to effectively speak and or eliminate any major problems that involve people without first eliminating the problem of racism. Because all those things still exist as a core issue behind all the other problems. Like economics, education, entertainment. labor law, politics, religion, sex, war, counter war. So you have to get to the core of those issues in order to be able to alleviate all these secondary problems. That's the thing I was talking about earlier with cause and effect. We covered like the nine the 9 areas. So area one, economics. Okay, economics is like the correct. Well, first they get a definition. Okay, economics means the correct distribution of and or balance between all animals, persons, places, plants, things, etc. Economics in the correct sense is the sum total of all of the thoughts, speech, and or actions used to produce maximum efficiency in revealing truth in a manner that promotes the establishment of justice and correctness in all areas of activity. So a lot of people when they think of economics, they think money, but I think I think those of us who dealt with money long enough know that money is a tool. Money is not econ- economics. Money is a tool of economics. The actual economics is the relation between peoples. In order for you to get the business deal, you have to have the relation between you and the person that you're maybe selling the item to, or whatever. That's the economics, not the money itself. It's the interaction between peoples or animals, plants, whatever your economics is. That's that's the action. So, any thoughts on that so far?
Yeah, that's a good setup, brother. Another thing, like people tend to like you said, people tend to mix up economics with solely money. But what echo is like ecosystem. You know what I'm saying? So money, trade, commerce, business, um, the distribution of livestock, commodities, etc., etc. This is all an applied science into a structure of how we efficiently, which is the word economic as well as economical, how something works in conjunction and effectively in order to produce for the entire, system. So I see where you're going. So I want to go a little. I want you to go a little bit more in depth with what is being sought as far as the compensatory aspect and how these codes form in that particular direction, if you don't mind.
Well, when I say compensatory, it's meant that anything in the code that does not align with you, because this is an individual thing. So anything that doesn't align with you moving forward to where you're supposed to be, you can compensate that. Like say something here that you didn't agree with. Okay,
Right.
you can change it, but you should always replace it with something also, not leaving a void. But in anything that is taken out, there should be something found better. It has to be better in order to replace it, because it's not for the sake of replacing things. If there's not a better solution, then shit should be left alone until something better comes about.
Isn't that kind of fulfilled with certain social work programs and philanthropic, organizations and investment people who are invest in their monies or donations and such like that. I think that those are those aspects of society um, that tend to try to compensate for the losses or the inequities within certain societies or minority groups, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I guess we could look at it that way. I mean, to a certain degree. I'm not gonna say that all of those people are on the up and up either. So I,
I
that's
agree. I
why
agree.
that's why I hate to point it at that, because that's not always, you know, there might be a group that you find, you know, that may have swindled. They may have helped 500 people, but then they swindled $500 million off the back end and went and bought a boat. you know.
Hey, Jashu.
What's cracking?
Yeah, yeah. What's the name of the show?
You don't see the title? A compensatory counter-racist code.
Okay, compensatory code system for racism.
This is brother Christo's show. It's his topic.
Okay, I was just I want to be
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to.
yeah. You good?
Yeah. Did you want to chime in, brother? Go ahead. I mean,
Yeah, I'm just getting an echo, so it's kind of hard to talk.
oh, okay. Hold on. Let me. Uh, I'm gonna mute out so you can say what you have to say real quick.
Yeah, I noticed you brought up economics, and I want to know how you were trying to establish a compensatory system. Are you trying to say that we should replace the system that we have? Is that the undertone of this?
No. I'm saying as I go through this code, someone might find a part of this code that they do not like, or something that does not fit them. That is why this code is compensatory. You
Okay,
know,
and what code is that?
this is uh, a code written by Neely Fuller, the United Independent Compensatory Code System
Oh,
Concept.
okay.
Compens-
All right, so it's a concept, is working model for it.
Correct, correct,
Okay.
right. Uh, yeah, I mean, and any code that's come up to deal with racism is a concept anyway, because racism's still here, and
Yeah, yeah,
until
it's
it's yeah, yeah, I mean, until it's fixed, then anything is going to be a concept.
okay.
Okay, so
Does it make any suggestions like building certain financial institutions, maybe some programs that might be afforded toward uh, building banks and other institutions within minority communities or something? I mean, he said that there is no working model. However, there has to be some form of suggestion as to which direction should be taken. I would assume.
right, well, this mostly deals with um how we interact with each other and the effects of how we interact with each other, and how that will have a play in the system of white supremacy. We write, in other words, we write, you know, the path according to how we treat each other. You know, if if you took us from the 1940s, 1950s, they treated each other in a certain manner where they were able to get some things done because they all walked in the same path. They walked in a codified manner. They understood X and X equals, such and such. They understood these things. So there was no guesswork between them. There was no guesswork between them, and that is what a codified manner is for. That's where it comes in.
Well,
But
some
as
of those
far
things were formed off of social norms, though, as well, though, right? I mean, because we know that classism existed in Europe prior to them even beginning the transatlantic slave trade. So we already know that these behaviors that Europeans inflicted, even within context to Africans and native groups in colonialization, was already inflicted upon their own communities prior to them. You know what I'm saying? Creating those other codes dealing with race, outside of the European landscape or whatever. Um, so we know that there's certain classes and there's discrimination that goes along the board. I think discrimination is pretty much like kind of a human I don't know how you would say it, a human condition. You know what I mean? Regardless of whether there's color or gender or whatever involved, um, there has to be some ways to rectify that, or as you're saying, with the compensation or compensatory equity for those conditions. I mean, it would be hard pressed to try to figure out how to how to answer that problem. You know what I'm saying?
right, well, the first thing we have to do is recognize that it is a problem. Recognize the idea that the idea exists, the concept exists because someone else already. Well, it's not even a concept because it's already in play. So we have to recognize first that it's there. If we can't recognize that it's there, then that that completely changes everything.
Yeah, the only ones who act like they don't know it's there are those who are benefiting from it.
Okay. Well, I mean, um, as far as far as having like a cookie cutter way, you know, to do things, like he was saying with the economics, is there like a business plan, this, that, and the other? No, this doesn't really deal with that. This deals with how people interact with other people.
Okay,
That's pretty much what this is about, how people interact with other people.
right.
Now it does dive into a lot of other topics, something similar to that, but not quite, not quite in that direction. Yeah, because economics does not simply mean acquiring, saving, spending money or anything like that. Yeah, economics is the relationship between peoples.
Were there any
Uh,
specific passages in the book by Neely Fuller that you want to you know put out there? Because I would like to see some, like, if there's like a paragraph or two that you think is most poignant. You know what I mean? I'd like to hear it.
Hey, Christos, unmute your mic.
I've been talking forever. Yeah, so right now I'm just trying to get through the areas of activity so people can get a general idea of what these areas are, because within the system there are areas, that we deal with constantly. Everybody. This is not just, it's not just white supremacy and black people. No, it's every that and everybody in between. Because once again, when I say white supremacy, I mean like that does not mean white people. A lot of people confuse that, instantly confuse that. That's not what that means. So, of course, that is a qualifier. You would have to be, white in order to, qualify for that, obviously. Okay, so the second area is education, which means the process of learning all things about all things, and or the process of learning all things about one thing. Okay, pretty simple definitions for this stuff. You know, educate. In other words, education is what you learn or what you're striving to learn. You know, either in multiple areas or one area. It's just process. It's just the process of learning, or something that you have learned is education. But you'll never stop learning, so you're never quote unquote educated. You know. And then the third section is entertainment, which we know that they like to use a lot of entertainment. They love to use entertainment, whether it's in movies, music, things like this. But entertainment means any activity that is desired or enjoyed, including that which is just or unjust, and that which is correct or incorrect. Entertainment can be either constructive or non constructive. Okay, we know how entertainment can be constructive. You know, I'm trying to think of a constructive black show that I can point to. I can't really think of one. I don't know if y'all could think of a
What about the
constructive.
Cosby?
Yeah, but was that really positive? I don't know. I mean, some to some degree, okay, I guess it was, but
I would say, hold on, you got mute every time somebody else talk. You got to mute.
okay.
I would say that the Bill Cosby show was positive for the simple fact that you had a familiar structure, meaning you had a family, you had a father, you had the wife. They weren't disenfranchised. Those were all his children for the most part, and they both they you had a doctor, a black man being a doctor. I forget what his wife, Rudy Huxtable. I forget what her job position was, but she was a mother and she took care of the family and held it down. That type of imagery is kind of like missing in today's setting in black media, because a lot of our media is inundated in negative imagery such as gang banging, whoredom, stripping, all these other things that's tearing us apart and tearing the family system apart is being pushed. And I feel like the Cosby Show, even the spinoffs, Different World, it showed black people going to college and even finishing college and starting careers. So I feel like, from my perspective, that's a positive black image. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I can agree with that. And you know what? Since we talked about entertainment, they came right behind that, and then Cosby became the entertainment of the hour with his final hour. You know what I'm saying? It's like okay, let's take that and now let's destroy that at the same time. You know,
Indeed, indeed.
it's it's like the perfect photograph of the system if you look at it from a long term through a long term lens. You know,
Right.
yeah. So yeah, it is positive and it is negative. You know, it is constructive. It is non-constructive. You know,
Well,
I mean,
that's
we
the
could.
thing is imagery is very important to socializing um, social groups, like large social groups. People see their images in certain aspects. They see their images either in a positive light or in a negative light. You know what I mean? Um, and that does have an effect on how people view themselves in society. Obviously, people are going to be attracted to anything that that reflects their culture or their identity. You know what I'm saying? Their imagery, and
Or
if
what they
they're
perceive to be their
right,
culture because
right,
someone
right, right,
has
exactly. Yep,
molded them
yep,
in that
exactly.
direction, you
Right,
know.
right. So I agree. I agree with that. You know. So when we see a lot of these negative things, we have to understand that there is obviously, an intent behind it. Socialization, the study of social behaviors and interactions. Um, it's not a young science. You know what I'm saying? So people can understand what things that are positive, things that are negative upon large groupings of people. What kind of images? What kind of things that are propagated
Oh yeah,
to a
the
large.
Edward Bernays effect. You know.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Wow.
So it's not rocket science that if you promote sexual debauchery and murder and this, that, and the other, that those outcomes are probably more likely going to be represented in those communities. You know what I mean? It's just it's not rocket science. You're setting a standard.
No. Yeah, it's not. It's not at all. Th- yeah, with the and yeah, and just for like with TV and all that leaks into
That
sports.
background noise, brother.
Yeah, that leaks into sports and whatever other entertainment. News, because news is entertainment to a degree. Depends where it's coming from, and all these other factors. But all these things were created. They were created over time. By specific groups who had agendas. And the agendas don't necessarily change with time. They may morph into something else, but they don't always change. Some have, some have not. Okay, the next session is labor.
Hey, Christos, can I chime on
Oh
that
yeah,
briefly before you move on?
yeah, go ahead.
To piggyback off of what Yeshua said, um, where we had positive influence in entertainment when it comes down to sitcom shows and things of that nature. It was the same thing. Pay attention to the music as well. You know what I mean? Where we had positive influence like people like De La Soul, people where she was really, pushing her music. Uh, we had influence in a positive direction. But as we see, as the music changed, so did the entertainment. Hey, excuse me. As the music changed, the entertainment changed along with it. So the positive influence that we would see on a regular basis, we stopped seeing these things. We start seeing more of reality shows. We start seeing more of things that would take our attention away from the positive. You know what I mean? So it goes. If we're not paying attention, you know, even right now with the music that's going on today, the mumble, you know what I mean? It you see adults listening to this stuff. They say, "Oh, well, I'm just trying to keep up with the time." And it's like, well, hold up. Why are you trying to keep up with some mumble jumbo when you should be teaching something different, or you should be promoting something that's more positive, even though it might be what they call old ancient rap or whatever they want to call it, old hip hop. It's still positive. It still resonates to this day. The message that was kicked. I'm gonna mute out because my family is a little loud.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't mention entertainment without going to the rap industry and all like that. We had this conversation a million times. I definitely believe, well, I don't believe, I know that that was, you know, one of those plans to offset a people, because people move in a way to offset a people. It's not just, these things are deliberate. They're deliberate actions in order to get a reaction, in order to further a cause. So it's cause and effect, but you have people who cause things do it for the effect, you know. If I move on to labor, this is the fourth area of activity. Uh, Labor means any act of using time and energy to accomplish an objective. Constructive labor can and should be entertaining. So, in other words, you should have fun at work. You know what I mean? You should make fun out of whatever you're doing because if you're not enjoying it, that probably means that you probably not supposed to be doing it. You
Right.
know, if it don't resonate with you, then that's probably not something for you, or it's something
Right.
that you're doing to pass time. Yeah,
Right. Right. Or just make a couple of dollars, but I think it's important for you to have some kind of purpose behind anything that you do or
Oh yeah,
engage in. You know,
definitely.
um, I never thought that I would try to be pursuing a legal degree, but I found a situation where I was in that actually motivated me to try and make a change within, at least within that kind of paradigm. Like as far as the family court system. So I enjoy being a father. I also enjoy helping other people deal with their legal issues. And it's not like, it's not easy, you know, but there's a purpose behind it. So
You're doing too much good in one direction. You know how that works. That
yeah.
comes that comes with an instant target. So yeah, and that, that leads to the next section, which is area 5 is law. Okay, which means anything that is done. So as the law here, what do you think about that basic definition? Law means anything that is done.
well, there's a little complexity to that. Law oftentimes is a set base of rules. Not, it doesn't mean moral. Okay, understand that law and morality are separated. Even this, they teach you this in law school. In paralegal school, legal studies, they'll teach you that it's not about morality as much as it is about the social norms and what is the most accepted idea. And these ideas can be wrong, like slavery, and still be considered legal. What they call the glass ceiling for women, how women can advance only but so far in specific fields of professional, workplace environments, but still not make as much as men who have less credentials or less capabilities in those fields. Um, so there are social behaviors, social norms, social conditions, uh, uh, things that people feel are supposed to be, and things that not supposed to be, that oftentimes dictate how society then reflects and behaves in those manners. You know what I mean? When it comes to the law, for instance, when it comes to men, and fatherhood. Fatherhood is not as respected in the view of a male having equal custody or even primary custody of the children, because there's already a presumption that you know a woman's going to be the better nurturing parent. You know what I mean? And in some cases that's true. In some cases it's not true. But because there is um, a overgeneralized presumption, this is the norm, and so now you have children who are suffering with parents who may not be fit, only because of a gender idea. You know, um, so these are the conditions that we have to actually tackle. That actually affect the family, African American family, are culturally, you know what I mean, and affect our status within the social climate in general. So that's just my take on it.
I think we lost the brother. We lost that brother, man.
Who, Christos?
Yeah, I think we lost Christos, man. Let me see where he at. See what's going on with the brother. Yeah, he ain't hit me up or nothing. But he dropped out, man. But you know what I'm saying? The brother brings up Fuller's work all the time. And I want to give him a platform to really flesh those ideas out and present it to the people. The brother's doing a real good job. I'm gonna just fill in for him until he get back. Touching on that imagery thing, and as you brother said, imagery is very powerful because it begins to represent a population of people.
He said his phone died.
Oh, his phone died?
Yeah. I guess he'll jump back on and charge back up.
He'll be right back.
Yeah. We'll fill in for him until he get back. So, like I was saying, like the imagery aspect of it is so powerful. And while we do need to stick to a code, and I believe that's what the brother was building to about the counter-racist code. And I think one of those things is we got to be against what Hollywood produces, what the music industry produces, because what's happening is they control the narrative for Black people. They control the narrative. The reason why we think Black people are over violent and hyper criminal is because if you turn on anything, I was just watching the Wu-Tang documentary. You understand? Right. And I guarantee you, what happened in the Wu-Tang documentary is not what happened in real life. You understand?
Right.
That over thug persona, they was gangsters, you know what I'm saying? Everybody was.
I didn't even watch it, B. And I'm a Wu-Tang fan. I didn't even watch it, bro.
I mean, even NWA, if I remember watching the movie, it was a portion where the manager was pretty much questioning, why y'all rapping about this? The only one person that can rap about this is Eazy-E. None of y'all done this. You know what I'm saying? He was talking to DJ Yella, Ice Cube, and who was the other brother at the time? The brother from Dallas. He's like, y'all ain't did none of this stuff y'all talking about. But they put that image out, and that image becomes more powerful than what actually takes place with these individuals.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's really an uphill battle when we're talking about Hollywood, the music industry, and the imagery that they produce for us. Because what happens is we kind of like a cookie cutter society where whatever we see, we try to reproduce. We try to reproduce what we see on TV. You understand? Many of our women, they behave like the women in Love and Hip Hop because that became their idol. That became what they want to mold themselves after. Instead of molding themselves after respectable young women, they look at these people like Cardi B. And speaking of Cardi B, she won Woman of the Year, I believe. I'm like, what did she do to win? This woman made the song WAP. You understand? That was her biggest hit this year, and she wins Woman of the Year. Come on, man. Something. I'm pretty sure there's women that's in the medical field that did things 10 times, 100 times greater than making a song. So what was the purpose of it?
Right. I think what it is you have a lot of groups that deal with feminism and women's expression and such like that get a little overzealous when it comes to sexual expression, you know. And so in one breath, you know, they're saying, you know, respect me more than a sexual object, but in the same breath, they're also saying, well, I can over-sexualize myself as much as I want to.
Yeah.
You understand? For whatever desires that I wish, as long as, you know what I'm saying, you don't cross the boundaries. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So it's kind of that catch-22, you know. A lot of things that people don't realize with a lot of these images is you'll watch, like, all right, so this is one thing that I've noticed, and me and my brother, we were going to do a discussion about the imagery within movies, because we've been doing this for a long time, man. We've been breaking down these films for a long time, but it's not always considered scholarship because, you know, it's movies. You know what I'm saying? And you know, people don't think that you can extract a message out of a film. However, that's not how psychology and how imagery works. You know what I mean? Otherwise, there wouldn't be a Rorschach test. You know what I'm saying? If imagery did not have a reflection on, or how people perceive imagery, a reflection on someone's psychological condition or state.
Right.
So you watch movies where a lot of African Americans oftentimes are the first people to die in movies. African Americans are more likely to be engaged in criminal behavior and sexual behavior that is outside of cultural norms that would be considered majority norms within the society. You know what I mean? You see movies like what is it with the Queen of Dragons and stuff. Uh, what's the name of that? Lord, the Throne. The
Oh yeah, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. Right. You see Europeans in different class structures in those films. You see them as kings and royalty and scribes and lords and dukes and earls and this, that, and the other. But when you see African Americans depicted, even within a hierarchical structure within the African American community, it's like, oh yeah, I'm the top drug dealer. I'm the top, you know what I'm saying? Or she's the top prostitute, or she's the, you know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So we see that there is always a structure of how they depict us. Even when they're depicting us in our highest state, it's still at the lowest state within. It's a subculture, and so they only depict us in a high state within a subculture to their mainstream cultural class identifications or whatever, however you classified. I don't know, but
right.
I always peep that. I always take a look at that. I always, when any movie, I'll get pissed off. I'll be like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with this film.
What
you know what I'm saying? The brother just died, or the brother just kissed another man up.
Yeah, they love
it.
it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know?
Any way to emasculate black male figures, they figure out how to put that in our face in a film, show,
right.
whatever it is. Like they love portraying us as homosexuals. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
right.
We should be offended. You understand?
I'm totally offended by it. Because regardless of how people want to portray their sexualities and stuff, or project their sexual desires upon another people's culture, it does have an effect.
Right. That's a big thing with Hollywood now and movies and you name it. All the tech giants, they're pushing. It's like they're trying to merge the idea of being black with being homosexual.
Right.
Even in Marvel comics, fam.
Yeah, man.
Marvel comic shows.
Yeah.
Whether it's sitcoms or movies, man. And that right there, it really hurts my feelings because I actually like to watch those movies, right?
Right.
And that I gotta be selective on what I watch and what I allow my children to watch because of the homosexuality, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really big like that for me because if I was approving of that, I would have just kept my family in the Christian church because there's a whole lot of that going on in there. So it's an uphill battle, man. So the content that we put out is very important because this should be becoming our new entertainment, right? The content that we put out, the information that we put out, because now it makes it fun to be able to sit down with the loved ones and be able to pull out some sources and read and learn together.
Big facts, man. Big facts. Because they trying to get rid of us. You know what I'm saying? That beast on our back.
Right.
But I want to point out something you said, brother Zion. You said they will keep us in that subgroup when they depict us. You understand? And unfortunately that they throwing homosexuality in there as well. But James Bond was supposed to be played by that black English brother. What's that brother name?
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba. So he did not get the role. And we gotta understand something. It's exactly what you just said, because it doesn't have anything to do with that subgroup they want us to fall into as, okay, black males have to either be thugs, they either have to make us laugh, or they have to be homosexual if we're going to put them on a major Hollywood film.
Right. The only time you will see a African American actor, whether male or female, in one of those those high class, you know what I'm saying, categories, higher class structures, is if there is something going on, you know, with them. You know, oftentimes they'll either be the first person to die, or one of the people to die, or one of the people who is involved in some kind of, you know what I'm saying, scandal, and you know what I'm saying, and it sets this idea that that's the only way to success. You know, even for you to even engage within that upper echelon group, the status quo, you know, you have to still play a part or a role that is a deviant or you know what I'm saying, or childlike in a sense too. You know what I mean? Always watch out for that image too, the childlike behavior. You know what I mean? Because they used to call African American men boys, right? And so a lot of times you'll see in movies, African American male attach himself to an older white gentleman who's liberal, who's not racist. However, the African American male becomes the boy, like in Django.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So they throw that in there as well, man.
You know, it's an undertone. You know.
Yeah. And the powerful thing about this imagery is this is what our children are seeing. This is what our community, they grow up watching this. And again, art is a reflection of reality. So if this all you're seeing in art, which film is a part of art, then that's going to reflect reality. You understand? Our children want to be gangbangers and thugs because that's all they listening to and that's all they seeing. That's the way to go for them. You understand?
Right. Some kind of entertainer. You know, you want to be we want to be the court jester and not the judge.
Exactly. You know, same thing with rapping. You want to be the rapper, but you don't want to be the person that's of head of distribution, you know, or producing, or the one that's getting the big checks. You don't want to be him. You want to be the slave and work under that person because, again, that's all you see. You don't see yourself as a corporate executive or something like that. And that's why we got to break into the markets and produce better images for ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And this is one of the things, like with me, like I don't know how you guys feel about Tyler Perry, and I know, you know, a lot of our, you know, family members and such, you know, they love Tyler, and I don't ever want to knock an African American male down in their success. You know what I'm saying? However, you know, it sends a real bad message to say that, you know, in order for me to gain the success that I've gained, the billions of dollars and the you know, the attention, that the world acclaim and fame, that I would have to compensate my own integrity to achieve that kind of ability. And I think, you know, a lot of times people say, you know, well, you're a hater, you know what I'm saying? And, oh, well, you know what I'm saying, Tyler did this and he did that for people, you know, okay, great. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, what was the other consequences? What were the psychological consequences of that, you know, that, because I feel like they put him on a podium, you know what I'm saying? They really do. It's like, you know, this is what you could be if you wear a dress, you know, and buck dance.
Right. The more promotion of emasculating men.
Right.
I think gangbanging in the thug culture is emasculation of men because it shows, because really a man's supposed to have restraint. And from my perspective, I think this retaliation for everything is more of a female trait, because I think men are supposed to be more reserved and have more restraint than, you know, every little thing you want to kill somebody over. Every little thing gets you so upset that now this block don't talk to this block because y'all holding lifetime grudges. You understand? and then then blood gets shed. I think that's more emasculine because a masculine man would not carry himself that way. But then again, what do you expect?
Right.
Our communities, there are no men to raise these children because most of them went from the school to prison pipeline and made children, and now they're out there with single parents. You understand?
Right.
So a lot of them are going to behave just like their mother.
Right.
And I feel like that's what's being pushed in the black community through music, through the movie industry, and that's why you get a Tyler Perry and why Lionsgate, I believe, isn't he working with Lionsgate or he got his own? He probably got his own studio now.
Yeah, I believe he was working on his own situation. I don't know how that worked out because Hollywood likes to keep a cap on a corner on the market. You know what I'm saying? So I know he was trying to work on something. Still haven't seen that come to fruition. And this is he's a millionaire. I've seen things that even Oprah Winfrey's made some ideas of how to deal with and that's Oprah. You feel what I'm saying? so the power is real. They're not going to let even you can get as much fame as you want. You can be like, well, this is what I want to do now. I want to help the community. I done buck dance and shuffling jobs for the last 40 years, and now I'm a millionaire. Billionaire, and now I want to do the community, and that's when they hold on now. Slow your roll.
Then,
better make another one of them old Negro movies crying about Harpo.
Right. Show black people in servitude. Yeah. So
right. Like The Color Purple. People. The Color Purple is a world acclaimed film. You know what I'm saying? It is. It got all kinds of awards and Grammys and stuff came up out of that, and I call that one of the most anti-African American male films ever. Ever.
Wow.
When I see women talking about Harpo and this, that, and the other, and they go into especially our sisters, I'm like, oh, y'all got that Color Purple complex. You got that Color Purple complex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something else, man. They want to blow your car up and walk off while it explodes in the background.
Hey, man, that's funny. You said I had a coworker that just dealt with that, man. Some chick he messed up.
Oh, man.
Busted his car up, too. He had a nice car. Man.
Mm-hmm.
Had a system in it and everything. She royally busted up. Back window, front window, rearview mirror.
Yep. She thought she was Angela Bassett.
Hey, it then called the brother up talking about some, I'll come over there and have sex with you, make you feel better. But I'm like, what? Feel better? That ain't gonna fix. You know what I'm saying?
She don't want to catch no charges.
So yeah, you absolutely right. But that's just more on the influence and impact of the movie. Oh, we got the brother back right here.
You back?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, brother.
I'm not sure where y'all was. I think y'all was still on.
We were still discussing like films and entertainment.
Okay, yeah. Law. I think that was your first disagreement. The basic definition here given for law was anything that is done. So you would definitely, well, you didn't say that whether you disagree with it, but you said that it's more extensive than that, which I'm sure we all agree. But would you agree with that short definition? Anything that is done?
It depends, because something that is done illegally is defined in law. So anything that is done would have to be defined within the legal practice, whether it be legal or illegal. So anything that is done, I could say yes to that. In that premise, that's a very broad scope. That could also mean, law also determines, what drug charges are going to affect what certain outcomes and plea bargains. You understand what I'm saying? So all of these things are defined within law. Law is anything that is done, but it's also there's regulations, there's penalties, there's, you see what I'm saying? There's a structure behind law that goes a little bit more further than just anything that is done. You know, when you say anything that is done is law, it kind of almost reminds me of the Crowlister saying, the whole of the law shall be do as thou will shall be the whole of the law. That sounds more like Aleister Crowley, if you're coming from that perspective. And I'm not saying that that doesn't have an effect in European legal systems. It could, you know.
Right. Well, that's a shortened version. There's actually a long definition for it, but that's a shortened version. It says to use this word law to mean anything that has an effect, just like it just said. You know, it's about the effect. Use it to mean anything that is done by a force, a person, a creature, or a thing that results in an effect.
Got you. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I'm looking at it more from
A legal
institutional
perspective.
legal definition than the larger definition of what a law is.
Instead of law, because
Yeah,
law
yeah.
is more.
It could be the laws, the natural laws.
A foundation, foundational thing. Whereas legal would be like the social construct of law. You know,
Right.
in that category, I guess it would be the social construct of that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
I don't know.
I agree.
Politics. Politics means people relations. Pretty much the same thing as economics. You know, it pretty much explains that all these pretty much are people relations. You know, politics means people relations and or any interaction between people at any time, in any place, in any area of activity. What do you think about that?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, right?
I would say so. You know, because what do we say when we have a discussion like right now, we politicking.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they used to call it back in the day. It was politicking.
Yeah, so I can agree with that. You know, it gets into institutional politics, social and cultural norms, socialization, you know,
Right.
political science, ethics, civics.
Yeah. Yeah, those are all people interacting.
And usually for a common cause.
Well, they don't always work for a common cause, but
Well, the common cause is self-preservation.
That's the idea. Yeah, that's the idea. That's a concept, but yeah, they don't always end up in the same in the same place.
Right, they don't always look at self-preservation the same way.
Right.
Some people survive differently.
Yes, they do. Literally. Some people survive differently. Yes. Uh, the seventh area of activity. Well, not activity. Yeah, the seventh area is religion. Religion means the sum total of everything that a person thinks and or everything that he or she says, plus everything that he or she does. A religion includes all parts of a person's existence, each part of each day.
Right. Now, if you're looking back at all the other sections that we just discussed, that leads to a belief system, cultural belief system.
Yeah. So all those things total together would be a person's religion.
Right. Politics, economics, entertainment. You're right. All of those things do relate to religion.
Okay. Is there? Do you think there's one that wouldn't fall under this category of religion?
Um, Not necessarily.
Okay.
Because a religion, usually, like on a broader definition, is a practice. So somebody who practices or lives a drug lifestyle, a gangster lifestyle, that's practicing a religion.
Right. Yeah, that's
They got
literally
hand
the
signs,
definition.
codes,
Right. What he or she does. Yeah.
right?
What you do. What
Moral
you do
codes
is
and
religion.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. A person
It's
religion
like a
is
social structure.
right. Anything that a person strongly believes in, plus what that person supports by his or her willful action. Anything you believe in or support is pretty much your religion.
Right.
Right. So whatever you tie yourself into, that is your religion. Whether you
Right.
whether
And they did that. Obama did that. What was it? H1 something is the human rights law. H1R something. That pretty much placed almost any idea that you could state was your belief
yeah.
as religiously protected under the First Amendment. And that includes atheism.
Well, yeah, I mean, he can do that because, I mean, that is what those people do. So that is their religion. I mean, we could try to say that they don't have it, but it is what it is. There's no way to really change it because even if you change the law, that's not going to stop them from having the thought.
Right.
If a person didn't want to believe in something, then they're probably just not going to believe in it. But you
But that's
changing
still a belief.
something on paper isn't going to
Instead
change
of saying it, like I don't believe in nothing, then you believe in nothing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is what it is, basically. Right.
So this kind of places like a broad stroke over how people decided to choose to live their lives or choose to either believe or not believe, as opposed to people considering religions the most popular faith or the majority faith in the community. Like, oh well, you're in a cult, so your religious beliefs are not respected because you're not a Catholic or you're not a Jew or you're not this or you're not that. And that still that's a constitutional violation because what it does is it only affords people who believe a specific way the rights of religious protections, whereas anyone should have religious protections no matter what they believe in. You know what I mean? Can't say that a Muslim can't have the same rights as somebody who doesn't believe in God at all, or an atheist. You know what I mean? Or agnostic, somebody who says, "Well, I don't know what I believe in." See what I mean? So I think that was the best way to deal with that situation, but it opened the gate for a whole lot of other things to happen.
Yeah, somebody in the audience said, believing God doesn't exist is still a religion. Uh-huh. I'm saying atheists not calling for atheists. Yeah, I mean,
Religion just means belief and practice.
yeah.
If somebody decides that they're not going to pray every Sunday every Saturday or every Sabbath day. Then they religiously decide to jog on those days, or religiously decide to be a vegan because they don't want to kill animals. That's a religious practice.
Yeah. Right, because it's something that they do or don't do. You know.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's pretty much what it comes down to. If you're Jim Jones and you like making your Kool-Aid real sweet, you know,
That's
that's
that
the thing
flavor
that
aid,
you do.
baby.
That's the thing that you do. If you like poisoning
I could
200
drink a
people,
whole cup and throw my feet up and watch TV.
right? I mean, if that's your thing, Now, I'm not gonna say I
Yo,
agree with all of
so let
them.
me ask you a question.
It's not my job to agree with all of them either. Now, I want to make that
Right. Of course you're not. You have synapses in your brain that don't agree with each other.
clear.
This is how we come to consciousness in a sense, is because our synapses have these receptors, and it's shooting information back and forth constantly, like we are doing now. And this allows us to come to conclusions and decisions and actions.
Right.
So there's always a dichotomy in the head. That's why they always have those cartoon images of an angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other.
Right. And they boxing it out for your feelings. Yeah. So yeah, the next area of activity, sex. Uh, Sex means any social material interaction between a male and a female. Now this is real specific, okay? Where gender is concerned, because it makes known between male and female. Anything outside of that, I don't think is even considered sex. I think I'd have to look it up to see what else it's called, but I don't think it's even
Well,
considered sex.
they put like that under gender, but not necessarily under biological sexuality. Because when they say biological sexuality, they're speaking specifically to um, the the genetics, and not the
Right, but
psychological.
Yeah. Well, let me read that again, because it says sex means any social material interaction between a male and a female. So what do you take away from that? Because social material interaction between a male and a female. Now that don't necessarily mean you're not necessarily
John
talking
Soup,
about.
you want to chime in on this one? I don't think I might not touch this one, man.
I mean, of course. Hold on, bro. You got to mute when people talking. Got to echo. Of course, in the liberal society that we live in, that is America, they wouldn't agree with that presupposition, for the simple fact that they think sex can be between any organism, pretty much. So it can be a man and a horse in America's eyes. So that would be, that definition would be radical in today's setting. I would love to apply that, because the point of this code, I believe, my perspective, is to circumvent or counteract, or counter, as the title says, racism and the social pressure that has put us in a bind. And I believe homosexuality, transsexuality, and all of these letters like the LGBTQ movement has really put a damper on the Black community, man. So if we're saying that that's going to be our definition for it, and that's how we're going to enforce it in our insular communities, I'm all for it, because I believe the fact that our males have been emasculated, have been taught that it's okay to transition and do all these other weird things, and follow LGBTQ, it's a detriment because our community, we don't have enough fathers. We don't have enough masculine male roles fulfilling their roles and fulfilling their purpose and creating families, nuclear families, and growing, because the smallest unit of government is always going to be family. And as long as the black male and the black family is lacking fathers, we will never have the smallest unit of government and be able to build the bigger units of government, like community, states, and so on and so forth. We start making our own legislation, and all those things start with family. And I believe LGBTQ is a direct attack against family. In fact, Black Lives Matter on their website, they're Marxists, and Marxists are against the family structure, the nuclear family structure. And it's a death blow and a detriment to our people for allowing that way of teaching to come in, because 72% of our families, 72% of our children are already born to single parent families. So we can't play with that. You understand? You're talking about extinction. That's how serious it is. So I am in full agreement of how that's how we should connotate sex. It should be just between a male and a female, because we got enough confusion destroying the black community. And that's my input on that.
Indeed.
Yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. So I don't guess you'll be donating to Tyler Perry or anything. Brother Tyler gets nothing, right? Yeah,
Well,
so
that's why they put money behind people like Tyler Perry, because he represents what's tearing us apart. You understand?
Right. He's actually like a symbol of, how challenging beneficial social norms can make you rich. You want to be rich? Go against everything that is good in your community. Hide it under the guise of religion, of Christianity. That's what kills me.
it's just a new minstrel show, is what that
It is.
is. I mean, it's the guy tapped dancing in the dress, pretty much, with his face painted, whether he wearing makeup or face paint.
Because as long as you're not a threat, as long as you're not a competitor, then you're not a threat.
Yeah, man. That threat is returning masculinity to the black community. Because I believe if we start producing fathers at record numbers, that's going to cause their system to topple over. Because everything they're think about it. The prison industrial complex is a multi-billion-dollar complex industry. Who's feeding into that industry? It's majority black Americans that are going to prison in high numbers and record numbers. Why? Because Obama said it the best. If you grow up in a single parent home, you are 9 times more likely to go to prison and be incarcerated if you grow up in a single parent home. It's just statistically a fact. So if they can keep generating that condition and keep emasculating our males and removing them from the family, and we have all this baby mama, baby father drama, okay, I can keep churning out people to go to prison. Now the prison industrial complex is booming and we making billions of dollars off these people. Why would I be an advocate to stop that and stop money and cash flow coming into my pockets? This is how these people are looking at this. That's what makes you a threat, because you're stopping the commodity. You're stopping the trade. You're stopping the business. You understand?
Facts.
This is why they will put millions of dollars behind people like Lil Durk, millions of dollars behind people like even Tekashi 6ix9ine. Everybody, why everybody Why everybody love Takashi 6ix9ine? You gotta understand something. Media in the market, there's a market for him. Why? Because that type of imagery and destruction is what they want to portray on our people. You understand? That's the type of image they want to go out. So they're going to spend. He going to have a big budget for his album, a big budget for his videos. They're going to churn out new music, new singles constantly for Lil Durk and all these different Chicago rappers, because the prison industrial complex is so huge and such a big viable market that they're not going to let that go and do everything they can to keep producing young black males, whether they die, whether they transition, become transsexual, homosexual, whatnot. The end result's going to be the same. They're going to win on the deal, and we're going to lose on the deal. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Christo. Your mic's muted.
Oh yeah, I was just agreeing with what you were saying. I didn't really have anything else to add to that. Here in the code, it says to use the term correct sexual intercourse, right? It uses the word correct, right? Correct sexual intercourse to mean any act of sexual intercourse that directly or indirectly helps to produce thoughts, speech, and or actions against the system of white supremacy in support of the production of justice, which is balance between peoples. So anything that is done between a male and a female automatically works in the correct direction. That's a good start. In other words, that's the starting point has to be male and female, just to get that, make sure that's solid on the table. The correct move, whether you're looking at like chess or anything, the correct move is to first move the piece in the direction of male and female. Just want to make sure that's known right out the right out of the gate.
Right, right.
And the final section is war, and counter war. War means any willful and deliberate, unjust, or non-correct speech and or action that are directly or indirectly used effectively against any creature, person, etc. So anything that's not,
Right,
just or correct is war.
right. An act of war.
Yeah, and an act of war. And I think if we looked at it that way, I think we would have more. I hate to use the word empathy, but that's not really what the word I'm looking for. I can't really think of it right now, but like a palette to work with. If you mistreat somebody, you should have an instant understanding that you should feel like crap. That if that doesn't come over you, immediately, that should come over you immediately after doing that. That's just how I look at it.
Well, like I said before, law, legal ethics has nothing to do with moral ethics. And oftentimes you'll find within these upper echelon corporate cultures, you'll find an attitude of dog eat. It's a dog eat dog. You understand what I'm saying? It's maintaining status quo. It's what is more beneficial to their culture as opposed to what is beneficial to the community as a whole.
Yeah, that's why I think that it would be automatically beneficial to just do the opposite of what they're doing. You know what I mean?
You still have to utilize some of their tools. You know, you know, reverse reverse the effects at least on a number of people within our community, so that we're balancing the scales within the community, because you're not going to save everybody. You cannot save everybody. There's some people who are going to choose to go
Well, this isn't about saving
Hollywood.
them. Well, listen, man, this isn't about saving them. That's why it's united and independent, because you're
Okay.
independent, which means
Well, how do we save them
you
without
working as a you
engaging
work.
in a whole entire inter political battle within ourselves, while we're still addressing the enemy as a whole?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So basically, is how do we save everyone
Well, that's just
when
it.
it would create an internal battle? Because there's those who are already committed to how they believe. The Tyler Perry's and Cardi B's, they're already sold.
Right, which is why we all have to walk in the other direction, and eventually it just becomes, the new norm. You have to make it normal to do what you're supposed to be doing, which isn't hard, actually. I mean, it's really not that hard, but it has to become normal, like in everyday practice, in other words.
All right, so this segment is on acts of war, right?
Yeah, this segment is on war and counter war.
So what can we do to counter that?
Okay, so we'll just pretty much covering the short hand of these definitions. Counter war means speech and or action used to stop a person, animal, etc. from doing unjust and or non-correct harm, and the sum of all words and all duties that help to eliminate racism and help to replace racism, white supremacy with justice. Because so it's pretty much the same thing. What I was just saying, you have to take those unjust actions and literally replace them with uh with something that's positive or correct. You know, like if you heard someone talking about homosexuality and all that, no, replace that with something that's correct. Get them to understand that sex is between a man and a woman, and that's it. That's the only definition. Unless they can prove, that there is a better way, that there is, that thing that they're trying to incorporate is better, and give just cause for that, because you don't want to start replacing things with something that's that doesn't have any weight to it. So it's just a matter of replacing one thing with another, with something else, but doing it in a way that it's undeniable.
Can I give a suggestion on that?
Yeah.
I think we can stop as a people being entertainment orientated, like as far as from a child up. A lot of our children are growing up to be, are aspiring to be rather, football players, basketball players. They're not doing that. They want to do music. You know what I'm saying? Girls want to be dancers, choreographers. The arts dominate as far as um, career selection in the black community. And I feel like that's an act of war as well, because we're not producing millions and millions of skilled workers or skilled entrepreneurs or people with skills in general. And if we're looking at it from an act of, Mike for real said reparation. I'm gonna touch on that in a minute, Mike for real. Matter of fact, the link is in the let me post this link again, man. This brother come, man. You might well come on the show, bro. We're playing games. So as I was saying, brothers, I feel like that's an act of war to keep us in the arts, because the arts doesn't produce that much money. You understand? It doesn't give. What's the likelihood of your child becoming the next point guard for the Washington Wizards? Think about it.
Yeah, and that is literally the whole point. Because if it's something that's not producing, then it has to be replaced with something that produces. You know,
Right.
like
Well, here's the deal too.
like they were saying, like the
Go ahead,
STEM
brother.
program or something like that. You know, that would be the counter to a sports program. You know, for instance, that's just an instance, but something like that, replacing it with something, but it has to be something constructive and something that's going to push you to the next level. Because if not, you just be going around in circles.
Right.
It becomes counterproductive.
Right.
Which make, yeah.
I think one of the things that needs to happen is that we need to start promoting more other angles, because within a society, within a culture, say even within a subculture or a minority group, the arts are very important. The arts are very important to American society. You know what I'm saying? If it were not for, the person who sewed up the American flag, we wouldn't have the American flag. You know what I'm saying? So arts is a part of a nation, a nation of people, a culture of people. Arts is very important. However, we often tend to allow or push our children toward a direction of arts and entertainment, because it's not popular to be an engineer. It's not popular to be an architect. It's not popular to be a insurance salesman. You see what I'm saying? A banker. Okay, so I think that we have a very limited scope of what the Black community thinks is cool or acceptable within our community. So everybody wants to be football players or artists or musicians. You know what I mean? Whereas there's a lot of people out there who want to be rappers, who suck at rap, but they're freaking mathematically inclined. They can build a freaking car from the ground up, but they want to be a rapper. Like, we need to make it okay to make it just as
yes.
You see what I'm saying? Equally
Yeah, socially
respectable to be what you're good at. You feel me?
Oh yeah, I get it. I get it. Instead of being the nerd who gets his backpack taken away and beat up. Yeah.
Right. And then that nerd turns around and then decides he wants to join a gang.
No.
So then that nerd,
the worst, and
now becomes one of the worst gangbangers.
Yeah.
Because not only is he smart, but he's pissed off.
Man, I want to touch on that right there, because we had discussions.
Yeah, that is facts, though.
Yeah, we had discussions on that. Hold on, mute your mic real quick, brother. We had discussions about school bullying and kids picking on people for small things, like, oh, he's not wearing the latest Jordans, and wait a minute, we all came from the hood, we all broke, we all poor. My mother can't afford that. She's on fixed income. So I got to wear these same pair of shoes the whole semester or the whole year. So my thing was, when this was brought up in times past, the parents and the school board should not allow that type of behavior to happen. Because what happens is you create what you just said, those monsters. You understand? You create those people from bullying, from that culture, that negative, toxic culture. You create something worse from it. These children should be have a
Right.
healthy environment to go to school and learn and educate and pursue their career from, not go to school and be tormented. You understand?
And be encouraged in those areas that they're good at.
Right, right, and that's not what's happening, because and it's like a smart child will get picked on in a black community, or in a black school, which is sad. You understand? And that's why I'm kind of against public schools. I'm more leaning towards charter schools because of that environment. You know what I'm saying? If he's a math whiz, you know what I'm saying, he'll get picked on for it. And then what happens when they hit puberty? They want girls. And then what happens? Who are the girls going after? In that age, in that time.
Right. They're going after the rappers, and they're going after the basketball players.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So now he feel like, okay, education ain't the way because the girl's not falling for me. That's another way he could exit out of academia. So again, back on acts of war, I think that's all acts of war, because if we're not producing nobody that's proficient in academia, then again, we can't produce a GDP. We can't make scientists, engineers, cell biology.
Yeah, you definitely have to have your counter war.
Here's the interesting thing. When the Western culture built cultures that reinforced or influenced people to go into academic fields or scholarly fields, like when we get into debates, we have to understand that all these debate leagues, we're engaging in another field of practice. Okay, what we're doing is a practice, and when you engage in a practice, what begins to happen is you start setting criterias, you start setting standards, and you start creating a culture. So I see a lot of benefits coming from the debate culture that's happening within our community. This it's like how popular battle rapping was, like a couple of years ago. You remember how popular, the battle rap groups were, and how it became so influential to the hip hop community and to the black community as a whole. People started becoming very popular based on their ability to argue and to bring content, entertainment, and intelligence, to a forum. So I think, one of the things is there has to be an evolution of how we start addressing some of the matters that are affecting our community. I think it's happening, naturally. But I think that we also have to be able to start seeing these things as from a broader picture, because my son, like he watches me debate, he wants to debate. My son wants to be a scientist. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't want to be a basketball player. He doesn't want to be a football player. He doesn't want to be a rapper. He wants to be a scientist. So how can I continue to foster that desire within him to make him feel confident? Because at some point, all the girls are going to be wanting the basketball player and the rapper and the singer. You know what I'm saying? But I have to be able to continue to foster his desire to remain a scholar and an intellectual. We have to start, I think, establishing our own scholastic and academic standards and peer reviews. Because once we start establishing ourselves academically and scholarly as a community, what we end up doing is now we're not relying solely upon these other scholars and peers and academic authorities for what they deem is what's right and what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? We begin actually creating our own standards. We actually start, writing our own story in a sense. We rewrite it. So that I think is one of the most important things. Even this dialogue here is so important to our development moving forward, and even dealing with economics and entertainment and religion, etc., etc. All of these aspects have to be addressed, and we have to start beginning to set standards for our community. When we start doing that, you're gonna start seeing the entertainers, the athletes, the politicians start leaning towards, that we want to adjust the popular culture. We have to become the authorities. How do you become the authorities? Scholars, academia, and scholarship. So that's just my take. Could y'all hear me?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Each one teach one. That's
Hey, Mike, for real, man, what are you doing, man?
I was listening. I was trying to get some work done around the house, but the conversation was so good. You invited me in, so I said, you know what? Like you're right. I keep texting, someone else will come in and give my point of view.
Which is?
Oh well, tradition, right? I believe that once we come out the traditions of men and focus on our ancestors, because to me they have the blueprint. Don't follow the ways of the Gentiles. Stick to your own people. Stick to your traditions, because the Most High knew that once we start going away from Him, from our moral values, and we start putting kings over us, and we start having these pagan holidays and bringing in other culture into our culture, it was just going to destroy us. So now here we are, 2020. We've seen white supremacists, we experienced white supremacists, and then we trying to get back whole with the Most High, and then you got urban apologists saying you guys are preaching the wrong gospel. And we're like, no, this is part of the gospel, to go to the lost sheep of the tribe of Israel, to bring back our culture, to bring back our moral values, because everything within scripture, don't have sex with other women. Hold on, my wife is coming through.
Yeah, just stop your camera, brother.
Nah, I just put it on mic. I thought she was coming in the living room. Anyway, so like for example, you mentioned the LGBT, right? Not only are they having sex amongst the same kind, there's dudes that's having sex with females and they faggots.
hold
Yeah.
on,
lack of
brother.
better terms.
Hold on, brother, because see, this is what we want to do with the code. Okay, we want to keep it real specific, brother Mike, because we want to change. We want to change the thought pattern. Okay, so when we say sex, what do we mean by sex?
Having sexual intercourse with the same kind.
Between man
man and man,
woman. So when you even
woman and
speak
woman.
of that sickness, we need to call it something other than what we call it. We can't call
I,
it sex no more. We don't
I
even
don't think
engage in calling it sex.
right. No, I understand that. Why do we have an echo?
Hey,
No,
brother.
That's me.
Yeah.
All right. Right. So we may call it a sickness, but it's just lust, right? It's lust of men lusting over other men, because the society tells you that whatever you lust after, you have the freedom to go ahead and engage in it.
Okay, lust. I can get down with that. Lust. Okay. I'm gonna write that down. Lust. Okay, that's what I'm gonna call it.
But
Like
then
I
there's
said, the
something
Bible
called
has to be.
integrity and dignity, brother, that they're not teaching to our community, which is the behaviors that you would engage in with or without someone viewing you. You know, dignity has a lot to do with how you view yourself. And if you are undignified in the shadows, then you're not going to feel confident in the light. You see what I'm saying? So it's a counterproductive when we don't set certain standards to how we behave and to the choices that we make. Um, Whether they're beneficial, you know what I'm saying, or we're engaging in something that's solely unbeneficial to us as a community and as a whole and personally. You know, I would, you know, I could never imagine doing something like murdering somebody unless it was like within the realms of self defense or self protection. I'm not going to just go out and start killing people because you know I watched a Jeffrey Dahmer movie. You know what I'm saying, and this, that, and the other, and it looks cool to try and gain a body, catch a body. You know, you got a lot of cats out here who trying to catch bodies because they watched something that was cool about it, and it makes them want to feel some kind of power. Some that there's a lust behind murder as well. Okay, so there is a sexual. They say that there's sexual anguish and a sexual desire behind even men killing other men for no reason. You know, so you know we have to start trying to promote um, moral standards and understanding that class is based upon our integrity and our dignity. You know, once we understand that, then people are gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that because it just popped up in my head or I watched the movie yesterday. I'm gonna do what's right because one, I want to be able to look myself in the face tomorrow, and two, I want other people to look at me with dignity. You know, so I think that's one of
Yeah,
the biggest issues.
yeah. I was just thinking though, because down the road, as we go through these topics, there's going to be definitions that come up, words that we use every day. So I'm trying to embed these words so we can change our language because the language is what's going to push us forward. You know what I mean? Just like Brother Mike was saying, I'd like for him to finish that point. I kind of cut you off to go into that, but if you could finish what you were saying.
About the lust, what specific?
Yeah, about the lust. I think he was
Right.
going into lust.
Yeah. That brother covered some of it. But let me go like specific into it, right? Because I like when he said we have to promote right, morality. Unfortunately, morality was kind of gauge that it came from a belief that there's a God, and that if you are not moral, that you're going to go to hell. And a lot of people just say, well, I just don't have to believe in God, and I could still be immoral, right? So then we have to say, well, it's about building communities, it's about building the government of families. Then you have those who say, well, I could still make babies and still have intercourse with my same kind because this is what I enjoy. Again, we're not going to be able to save everyone. It's about taking those people that collective believe in the same values that we have. You know, we live in a society that allows people to do a lot of things like abortion and don't get and it's not considered a crime, even if is of could live. Like if it's 6 months in and she figures I don't believe in that. But then if she feels that her life is in danger and everybody's giving her that choice, I listen, it's either you or the baby, then we can make those exceptions. But I'm not gonna go into that yet. But again, it's like in any society, like that strains away from the morality that was handed down to our from our ancestors. That's why I like the fact that it's not so much that it came from a religion. Morality is not just came from a religion. It actually had basis in how do we build communities. Imagine if our ancestors were just wilding out and having intercourse and not thinking about the aftermath of not having enough people to carry on the society. Any group would have came in and decimate them, right? But the reason why we're still here today because that they had those moral codes and they was able to, even through all the atrocities that went under, they were still able to carry out families to the best of their abilities, and that's why we still here. So I think it's very important to say that morality is just more than religion. Morality is actually a way to build societies and a structure that actually could be handed down for generations to generations. So if that's one tradition that we have to uphold, is our moral traditions. Even if you don't like it,
Correct.
you still have to hold that.
Right, but see, the I think the problem comes in where in today's society we have different moral standards, you know, and I think that's where a code comes in, because it's written out, it is outlined what to do and what not to do, and it's it can be compensated for something that does not work for your paradigm. You can compensate something with that, but you have to have good reason, you know, to take that out and put something in, you know, to fill the void with the next code. It's like writing a computer program. You could take it out, but you have to have something else
Right.
to
I think that happens.
to take up for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it happens a lot though. Like if you look at the vegan lifestyles that really transformed itself in the conscious communities prior to even Europeans really becoming large on it's the same effect that happened with the hippie community in the 60s, the early 50s and the late 50s and early 60s, that came out of the movements of you had the human equalities and civil rights movements, right? So it seems like we tend to affect the larger span of the communities that we know this. We know that our culture oftentimes ends up changing the cultures of other communities around the world. You got Japanese people rapping and breakdancing. You know what I'm saying? They're doing things that we did to alleviate the pain and to deal with ourselves within our own subculture, and show our skills and our abilities and our prowess and all the things that would lead to us being somebody within our community. I remember breakdancing days. I came up in the '80s, early '80s. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'm a '74 baby. You know what I'm saying? So when I was going to elementary school, cats was out there pulling out cardboard boxes and spinning on their necks. You know what I'm saying? And this is what established, who was, the illest in that neighborhood. Who was the baddest rapper? Who was the illest breakdancer? Who was and these things were inspiring within a subculture to establish their own identity and hierarchies. Then it went to the drug culture. So now we have a culture of women and children who are more attracted to how much money can you make on a weekend on the first of the month. You know what I'm saying? With a couple of with $40. How many times can you flip it and come back home and with some new Jordans and you know what I'm saying, and cover the bills. So we have to start beginning to reestablish what is the criteria for what is considered the higher class in our own communities. What is considered the top dogs? Who are the people that we actually look up to in our communities now? We have to start establishing that, reestablishing that, because we're looking up to people who are like Cardi B. They will compromise their integrity and dignity, for the dollar, and not understanding how it affects the community at large. And so that's what I'm saying is, like, when we start turning academic scholarship debates into the mainstream, you know, then we start changing the class. So it's not just about spitting. It's not just about what you spit. It's not just about how good you spit. It's about what you spit. What's in your music? What's the content? Because if you spitting some
Yes,
garbage,
that part. Yes.
then you don't belong here.
Right.
You know?
And right. Uh, but let's be careful, right? Because we now monoliths, right? So you have Sonetta that was trying to push consciousness, and he was trying to bring all the conscious communities together, even in debates, to kind of make that popular. And then it did establish a lot of debates within that community. But then you saw how battle rap, even though it was underground, it it brought that kind of art of being able to write poetry, and even though it was very disrespectful, but we as people, we understood that it does take a lot of intelligence to put that in a poetry mode and be able to use references and all that kind of stuff. It's just that's kind of like part of society. Like we always like to do what's fun and what makes us like happy and what we enjoy it. But there was not really enjoyment in doing the hard lifting, the heavy lifting. A lot of people in our community don't want to do the heavy lifting. That's just facts. Like, and the children are not being told that they're not being told to become part of that group of like, listen, it can't be all about fun and games. It can't be all about sports and TV. You got to be about, get a skill set, learn to do something. What do you like to learn? You want to get in computers, get into tech. You like building, get into becoming a carpenter. But what we see is that the media and Hollywood keep pushing entertainment, and not for nothing, that is called entertainment for a reason. How do we overcome that? Well, if we had our own entertainment that's using morality as something that we all can agree on. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that are not in these platforms that I'm listening to that are doing things that I'm like, okay, well, black people got a chance now because there's a lot of black folks that's like in their 30s that's doing a lot of positive things in bringing up wealth because they understand that I'm not a rapper, I'm not an actor, but it's just that we see a lot of our younger generation just introduced to this entertainment that they run to that and they realize that this is hard to get into. So they get into whatever they could fit in. But I believe in the whole, like you mentioned, there has to be a higher class. There is a higher class. It's just that that's not pushed out there as much. But as those higher class start to get more power within entertainment and within media, you know what I'm saying? Like, not for nothing, I enjoy watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Roland Martin Unfiltered is the truest black media out there because they will watch a white person getting beat up by a black woman after calling them a nigger for that just to be true. And they will show that and say, yeah, she deserved to get beat because you should not disrespect people. We know that white media would not show that. But I'm like, well, how many people's backing up Roland Martin and saying, yo, this brother's keeping it real? I may not agree with everything, but at least he's on the outside and he is for the black struggle. Like, we don't even know how to like come out from our platforms and even like what's the word I'm looking for? Help our other platforms or even like
Right,
promote
right,
it. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yo, brother, I'm gonna tell you what one thing that I learned being in martial arts. I was in Chinese martial arts for a large portion of the time. Is one thing that I learned about the Chinese martial arts community is that they build associations. It's really interesting how they build these associations. They'll find common ground on specific issues with other groups that 9 times out of 10 they would have been competing against. You know what I'm saying? But then they form an association, an alliance, okay, in order to build a larger a community base, a larger um, consumer base. You see what I'm saying? So the interest becomes bigger, and we're all working together. So one of the things with Chinese, what they call the triads were the first associations to be built from the Chinese in Americas. What did the triads do? These cats were banging against each other when they were in China. When they came to America, they had a common enemy. So then they started building alliances amongst themselves, even though there was still politics amongst themselves, even though there was still some warfares amongst themselves for power and authority. They still had a unified front against anything that was foreign to their culture and their advancement as a people in this new world.
That's why the code is called United Independent.
Right. So this is the associations. We're building fronts. We're building unified fronts to do what? To change the perception, to change the common, the social norms. You know, is there any one model to do this? I don't think so.
No, but I think most of the change in this code deals with language and our interactions with each other.
Right.
I mean, when it comes down to the most of it, deals with language and our interaction with each other.
Right.
I think if we took some of these basic words and just changed them, because words in this society, we know how they work already. You know, they're like spells.
Right.
We have to change these perceptions in order for this.
Right. Rasta culture did this a long time ago. In the early 50s and 60s, the Rastafarian culture came up with something called word, sound, power.
Yeah.
And so they began to change the definitions of words and how they pronounce certain things when greeting each other. And so this created an internal social structure within the Rastafarian community in Jamaica. That's why in Jamaica, certain words, mean something different to people on the outside world. And this is a part of this is definitely a part of the development of really changing how we think as a culture. You know what I mean? I absolutely agree with you on that, brother.
Okay. General Yashar, you got anything to add to this, brother? I know you've been muted out, waiting patiently.
No, man, it's just a good build. I'm listening.
Yep. Sensei Jihad, got some additives, man? Got something to add to this? I don't know if you've been listening backstage or whatever.
Well,
No, I just got nobody needs to be my echo on. No, I just got on, man. You know what I'm saying? About a few seconds ago. You know, I'm work. I got my mic. Man. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for acknowledging. We do always with the Barry Poco. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I might do something y'all tomorrow night. I mean, Sunday night I might. I don't know. I had to get with the crew, see what's going on or whatnot. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm listening, and I'll probably have to go back and look at it and see, but, glad to be a part of it, baby, man. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe, baby. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, I'm just listening, and I'm going to do all the rest of it, so whatnot. I'm gonna mute my mic so y'all can hear because I'm working.
yeah, I wanted to add that for example, right? This big debate between the urban apologists and the Christian Hebrew Israelite community right now. And they going back and forth, right? And I'm saying to myself, they both in the wrong as far as I'm concerned, because when the prophets was as Christ, there's another group of people talking about, the Most High and whatever. He didn't say, "Oh, let's go and debate them." He says, "Listen, if they're not against us, and then there's no reason for us to debate those people over there." It's like, if y'all talking about preparing ourselves for the second coming of our Lord and prepare ourselves to the kingdom of heaven, if we could just agree on that, then that's who's the common enemy. It's not the way we teach the scriptures. It's white
Yeah, it's
supremacy.
great. It's really good that you brought that up, because in this book there's a definition for that too.
Okay.
That what it's called is victims guarantee qualification. Okay. It basically says that anybody who's been affected by the system of white supremacy has the right to define it, or to put it in their perspective without being judged for it, or beat up over it. You know what I mean? So you basically working in the same light, moving in the same direction. It says use the term to apply to what a non-white person victim of white supremacy chooses to say about race, racism, or counter-racism during the existence of white supremacy racism, including anything that he or she chooses to say as it pertains to what racism is, how it works, how non-white person are victimized by it, and so forth.
Wait, so are we concerned how
So
white
how?
people get victimized by white supremacy?
No. It's basically saying, you know, like if you was to say one thing, if you had one idea that was contrary to mine, but we talking about the same thing, just like you just said, we talking about the same thing. It's the same path. We just go in different directions in order to get to the same thing. So I can't beat you up over your idea, because we still on the same path. It's still a concept. It hasn't been solved yet. So you can't. It's like saying, well, you can't stop the scientist from doing his research when you haven't found the cure yet. You understand what I'm saying? I can't stop the other scientist from doing his research, and I haven't found the cure myself.
Yeah, that's it right there. That's perfect. And when you notice how white supremacist was established as a quote unquote, term, because the colonizers were white. They had a common goal, which is to take over land, and the brown people in these lands, we're gonna subjugate and make them into our servants. And now that's why I love reparations, because reparations is basically saying, okay, now you have to repair the wrongs that you did, because at the end of the day, it's not only affecting us, it's affecting white people too. Because the more you keep on this separation amongst race and among people,
Definitely. Yeah, that cost.
it's going to come at a cost. And right now, it's so divided that they can't even give people $2,000 as a stimulus package, because they still worrying about, we don't want to help black people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is supposed to be our tax dollars, and that we invest in this government, and you guys still don't want to give us $2,000 when the war machine takes way more money, and that same $2,000 is going to be put right back into the economy. But even people that's within those parties still vote the same people that's saying, don't give people this money because it's way too much. That's how bad this cult has been created. That's why white supremacy is so bad. It's messing up white people too. You know what I'm saying? So that wickedness got to just be destroyed and taken down.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. It is messing them up too. Yeah. And that's why I tried to make this really clear because when I say white supremacy, this is a system that we're talking about here. Okay, we're not talking about all white. The code is not talking about all white people. It's talking about those who are able, those who are capable and willing and wanting to mistreat other people according to, you know, by the standards of skin color and class and casteism and all this stuff. So there's qualifications. You have to qualify for that, you know. Now, but it also says that they should be suspects. You know, everybody has to be suspects until they're cleared. That's just how that works. For obvious reasons. We don't have to go into that, but yeah, for obvious reasons.
No, I agree because I was listening to a video of Richard Pryor in an interview, and he said that white supremacy and racism help each other out. So even if you was to enter into a situation where you're not really uh, 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 into white supremacy, because the gatekeepers were white supremacists, you kind of like fall in line with that system, and that system kind of overtakes you, and then you start becoming more racist. You may have some biases because everybody has a bias. Everybody has like I belong to this group, so I'm for this group. But then you become even more biased as you go into these spaces of ownership in media and in Hollywood and in just about every corporation, where you still feel like we have to maintain a certain people under us because that's the way it's been working. Yet in doing that, you are doing a lot of things. Number one, you are missing out on intelligent brown people, mostly us, bringing your society to a higher level. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to be reminded of our slavery and Jim Crow. We want to live the best lives we can live on this earth. You know what I'm saying? So we still gotta find ways to maneuver around white supremacy, be able to get bank loans to raise business and business capitals, for our black techs to get the jobs that we could in Silicon Valley and all that kind of stuff. They themselves are kind of like falling into the same system, and some of them notice that, but it's like, well, I'm not ready to be the first one to jump out of the system to be different, because how will I be looked at, or will I be accepted by my kind? Or so I'd rather just say it's not there, it's not an issue. And you see that a lot in politics, you know what I'm saying, where they constantly going back and forth with, oh,
Right.
reparation, we don't need to do reparations. When it's like reparations is a stimulus package to help brown folks. Like, what's wrong with that? You do it, you're doing it now in a sense, so you could do it.
Yeah, you could just wave your hand. Yeah, it could be that, and then that'll be that. But yeah, some people would have a hard time with that. Like you say, I mean, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's gonna have to. It would definitely go full circle if everybody understood the same thing and was on the same page. But the only way to get on the same page is to open the book. And with that, I don't have anything further, unless you guys have something further. Joshua, you got something further?
Nah, man. Excellent show. Excellent presentation, brother. I'm gonna mute you, got an echo. Excellent presentation, man. The brother, you know what I'm saying? He came with it. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're doing. We're producing shows, and hopefully we can get Zion's show produced next. You know what I'm saying? That brother wants to do an excellent show on fatherhood, I believe. Zion, before we leave out here, do you want to let the people know what you got in store?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, um, yeah, I enjoyed this show, and it does chime into something that I want to discuss, even with dealing with fatherhood, because we were dealing with you know, popular norms and how cultural trends affect our communities. And so, one of the things that I believe is a huge affecting factor within our communities is our broken families and the importance of fatherhood within our community. See, we've kind of adopted a bit of a Eurocentric idealism when it comes to solely motherhood. See, we as a people did not just solely rely on mothers in rearing our children. We understood both factors of male and female within the development of our children, and that's what would bring us the best results within their development and their abilities to succeed in their futures. You know, maintaining a certain level of success within our own cultural paradigms, our society in general. This has been withered away, and so I want to argue, not necessarily argue, but discuss really how the present legal system, the present perceptions of gender and parenting affect our community. A lot of men assume that, you know, well, they're just supposed to be the breadwinners. You know, that's not even scriptural, much less it's not Egyptian culture, it's not Semitic culture, it's not any culture of our people. We men were very much engaged in their children's development and in nurturing their children, and this is where I think we have to have a discussion. I know there's a lot of fathers out there who have suffered loss and denial of contact, but however have been held to financial obligations without the respect of their ability to influence their own children and the constitutionality of that. You know, these are the things that we need to discuss. And I would love to have a couple of women on the panel too, maybe in another discussion, but I think dads need to really have a good discussion on what it's about, what they've been through, what we all have been through as dads, you know what I'm saying, and some of the things that we've had to accept, some of the things that we cannot accept, and how can we move forward to change those patterns within our community. So that's basically what I want to get a conversation on, you know what I'm saying, with the source brethren.
All right, so man, that we looking forward to it. I'm excited for it, man. We waiting to see that as well. Shout out to my brother James Casilla, the Argument King. He does have a presentation that he's been working on to bring forth and share with you guys on the channel, and that's going to be on Japhet. He's going to be dealing with DNA and building a case on who Japhet is genetically. Also, this Sunday we got our brother Jihad. You understand, my brother coming back in full effect, and he is going to break down some information for you brothers, man. So Jihad, if you there, you want to talk about your show coming Sunday?
Yeah, man, this Sunday at 8. Can y'all hear me clear?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, this week, man, I mean, like every week, man, it's going to be a whole series. We're going to be together for a long time. I'm going to go with Adam, and I'm going to go all the way to Jesus, man. And I'm going to clear the name of all the bad stuff they did, the people blame them for, all the children that they say they had that's not theirs. Yep. And we're going to go through the story. We've already improved Cain is not Adam's son. Okay? I proved that last year in a debate called It's Adam. Dunn you need to apologize for still telling people that. That's proven. And I heard on it a couple of weeks ago, and me and my brother, please said, yeah, but I'm going to touch on it a little more. And then I'm going to move on to Noah. We're going to have fun when I get to Noah. When we get to Noah, we going to have fun. But we ain't going to get to Noah until after this one right here. But we're going to have fun, man. It's going to be a great show, man. You know what I'm saying? Never a boring moment, you know. If it wasn't for the sport.
Hard in the yard.
And my brothers, you know what I'm saying? You want this kind of content you want to bring to you, man. It's gonna be fun and you're gonna learn something. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so tune in man this Sunday. You know what I'm saying? At 8 o'clock, 7 or 8 o'clock. You know, mostly like at 8. House show. You know, and yeah, we're gonna have fun. We're gonna do it, man. This Sunday at 8.
Yep, the Johnny Cochran of the source. Johnny
Sounds
Cochran.
good, brother.
Going hard in the yard with a library card.
That's right, brother.
Yeah.
That's right, man. So y'all be on the lookout. The source is producing content, and we got something huge that we're trying to push. I can't really unveil what it is, but just be on the lookout, man. We got something huge, a huge clash that we trying to promote here on the source. I'm gonna keep it under wraps until it's official. But before we get out of here, before we leave, man, I hope that we can have some more discussions about Nelly Fuller and Nicole with my brother Christos. You understand? Because that right there, he talks about that a lot, and I'm very interested in it because we need order and we need structure and we do need a code as a people, and the brothers providing it because we trying to be solution orientated here. But also, before I end the show, I would like to play a song by our brother from the Firehouse Reasoning as well, brother LV. You understand? So we're gonna promote his new song that he produced and share that to the airwaves and the brothers on the internet, man. And y'all listen to it, enjoy, and give y'all feedback to the brother.
I hope it's in line with the code now. We can't go counter.
Nah, bro, nah. I ain't gonna play nothing like that live if it was something like that.
Over Europa. Facebook and YouTube. Europa Report TV. All the welcome. May your 2020 have been blessed. May your 2021 contrary doing it be different. Over Europa, man. Don't worry, this gon' be your year. Many trials and tribulations done popped up, but ain't much to fear. This the cold world for the troops. Everyone that declared you done made it out of 2020. You ain't playing fair. COVID fucked up where I worked at, I ain't gonna take it there. I'm gonna talk about how I lifed up and I learned to use my ears. I was back and forth with my peers, some not with us as it appears. They can switch up what they see, it get musical with those shares. I'm gonna fight for my people, you know who I am, you tell me the price. I'm coming from love that alhamdulillah when I talk about life. Broke with a set says good work, man, you call it a night. I see the vision clear, no need to be there to see it in sight. Ain't it alright? Don't worry, it's gonna be your year. Many trials and tribulations done popped up, but ain't much to fear. This a cold world for the troops. Every war that declared you done made it out of 2020. Ain't no playing fair. No one kicked out they homes, all vacancies. I don't fought to keep love in the hood, but they still won't bank with me. Wrote a blank check in the past to get a cash is a prophecy, but it won't stop there cause we all here, but it ain't just gotta be me or he or she or we. All of us can peace. Freedom and weak. The feds came to this week to get the youngest to the least. Don't market a beast. Stay out of the streets. 21 be the feast. There's so much to improve. So why we doing the least? Don't worry, this gon' be your year. Many trials and tribulations don't pop up, but ain't much to fear. This a cold world for the troops. Everyone that declared you done made it out of 2020. They ain't playing fair, yeah. Roper, they ain't playing fair. Roper Report TV, Facebook, YouTube.
So
Yeah.
check that out. Subscribe to that brother channel, Europa TV on YouTube and on Facebook. Show that brother some love, man.
Okay, LV. I thought we was gonna have to chase LV down. Well, I guess he all right. I guess he made it past the checkpoint.
And I was feeling that. But that brother said, alhamdulillah. That boy said, alhamdulillah.
I know you was feeling that. Hey, what Jay-Z say? Alhamdulillah. I run through them all. Hey, man. I knew you was feeling that, man. That Islamic Quranic vibe, right? Hey, man. Shout out to our brother LV, man. That was a powerful song. I heard it. He put it in the back chat. I'm like, man, that was awesome. So I want to show some love, and, you know what I'm saying, put it out there on the internet with our viewers and our audience and our subscriber base, so they can, you know, feel them vibes too. So man, go to his page, Europa TV, and show the brother some love. Let that brother know that you appreciate his music and good artistry. Because we were just talking about on the show, all we got is negative artistry. So when you got good artistry, it's on you to support them brothers that's not rapping about the same old, that ain't rapping about clapping a gat, that ain't rapping about selling dope, and ain't rapping about turning all our women into hoes. So we gotta, it's on us. The onus is on us to support rappers like that, because the industry is not doing it. All right. So that's the counter code. So that's the code that we can do to counter racism, presented by your brother Christos. Many more to come. And, you know, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, man. We're gonna keep presenting content to y'all. You understand? We're gonna feed y'all that spiritual bread y'all need. All right. SUC Source Gang.
Hey, let me say something. Hey, is we finna go in the back chat, or y'all finna go and kill and do y'all thing with it?
I'm down for the back chat.
Yeah. I ain't doing nothing else. I mean, if y'all ain't doing nothing else, we go in the back chat and chill. You know what I'm saying? That's what I can do after the show anyway. So, you know, I'll be back there.
I'm bringing the new year with the real heads.
All right, I'll be back there.
All right, Jesse, we can close this one out, man.
All right, man. Peace. Shalom, everybody.
Great. Thank y'all for showing up.